You know how sometimes you just want to do something different when you're framing your photographs on your digital scrapbooking layout? Hi, I'm Vicki Robinson. I'm a digital scrapbooking designer, and today I want to show you a really cool technique for creating the illusion of interlocking frames, multiple interlocking frames on one photo. It's super easy. The result is rather impressive and different, and I think you're going to love it. Let me share my screen and we'll get started. I'm here in Photoshop Elements 2024. Now, the steps that I'm going to show you will work in any version of Photoshop Elements as long as it supports creating groups. I think Adobe introduced that around 2016. So as long as you have a version that is older than 2015, you'll be able to complete these steps. The steps will also work in the full version of Photoshop. This is the layout that we're going to be recreating, the seemingly interlocking frames over multiple pictures. As you can see here, it looks as if my arm is reaching through one frame to another to grab hold of my stepdaughter's hand here, and it would almost appear that there's separate pictures, but the reality is, as I've said, it's one photo with these multiple frames repositioned. A very super cool and easy trick you can use to add a little bit of interest to what might other be just sort of an ordinary sort of layout. Let me show you how we did this. I have a new document here with my photo, and I've added a colored background here so it's easier for you to see what it is I'm doing. I have my photo here, and the first thing I'm going to do is get my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to click and drag out a rectangle around the first part of the photo that I want to be highlighting. So I'm going to click and drag. I'm not looking for a square. If you want to make it square, hold down the Shift key. That will constrain the proportions of the shape that you're drawing. But I'm just going to freehand a rectangle, and I didn't exactly position my mouse where I wanted it to be to start. So rather than starting over, I'm simply going to hold down the space bar without having let go of my mouse. That allows me to reposition this rectangle that I've drawn, and then I can continue drawing it the way I want. If I let go of the space bar, I can then continue on to draw. And it doesn't have to be exact. We can reposition things later if we want. So I'm going to let go now, and I've got the marching ants around my photo. I'm going to add a new layer beneath my photo layer. So click on the new layer icon, and then from the menu, I'm going to choose Edit, Fill Selection. I want to make sure in the Use box field here that I'm going to choose to fill with black. You can choose another color, but we're going to use black. We want the opacity to be 100%, and we want to leave Preserve Transparency unchecked. If I checked it, then when I filled this, Elements would try to fill the entire layer with the color, and I just want my selection filled. So we're going to save, leave Preserve Transparency unchecked and say OK. Now, Control or Command D to deselect, so we remove the marching ants, and if I hide the photo, you can see what I mean. I just have this black rectangle on my screen. What I've effectively done is created a mask. I'm going to attach my photo to the mask, click on the photo layer, and come to Layer, Create Clipping Mask, and you will see that Elements has now constrained my photo to only those sections of the black rectangle that I have created. So that was our step one. Now we're going to go and add our frame. This isn't a separate layer that has a white frame in it or a paper frame or something. We're going to actually add the frame. For this to work, we need to add the frame using a layer style. So with my rectangle selected, I'm going to come to Layer Style Settings. Let's open up a stroke, make sure we select that. I'm going to change this to white. It is a 1 pixel frame, and as you can see, that's very tiny. So let's just make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. Right now, the position is set to outside, and when you do that, you see you get these sort of rounded corners on your frame. If you like that, you can leave that as it is. I prefer to have very sharp corners, so I'm going to change this position to inside, and you can see I now have very sharp corners here, and the opacity is now set to 100%. So we're going to say OK. Now, this is why you needed to use a version of 2016 of PSE or later, because now here's where we're going to create our group. I'm going to click on my photo layer, hold down the Shift key to select my rectangle layer and say Layer, Create Group Layers. So I've put those 2 layers together inside of a group. Now I need multiple copies of this, so with the group layer selected, I'm going to choose Layer, Duplicate Group, and say OK. And then I'm going to do that one more time because I want to have 3 separate frames. If you wanted 4, you would duplicate it 4 times. Layer, Duplicate Group. One of the things to keep in mind when you're working with layers is that you want to be sure or make a determination whether it is the group you want to move or just a layer within a group you want to move. And in this case right now, I'm going to want to move just the frame, the rectangle of my photo. I don't want to move the entire group. I want to keep everything positioned except I want to move this. And you'll see why in just one sec. Now here's the little thing you need to remember. Once you've activated your Move tool, you need to look down over here into the Tools option. You want to make sure when you're moving a layer inside of a group that you deselect Auto Select Layer. If you leave that checked and you go to try to move a layer, it's going to want to move the entire group. So in order to move a layer that's inside of a group, a specific layer, then you want to make sure that's deselected. Now that we've done that, I can click and drag on the image here and move my frame over. It kind of looks like magic, doesn't it? Really what's happening is I'm just repositioning this frame that was attached to this one photo. So it's just changing the location of what is being masked. It looks like magic, but it isn't really, but it is very cool. So I'm going to go ahead and let go when this is where you want it to be. Now we can reposition these at any time, so it doesn't have to be perfect the first time around. And then we're going to come down to the next image here, and it is the bottom that I need to reveal. So I'm going to open the flywheel here, select my frame layer. I'm calling it a frame layer. It's really mask layer, but it does have the frame attached. We've still got our auto select deselected, and so now I can come and take this photo, this piece, and put it where I want it to be. And as I said, we can reposition these any way we want to. So maybe we take this one. Let's just play. Let's put this one here. Let's come back up to the top one. Make sure that you don't want to move the photo now. Remember, we're just moving the mask. So, and if you're not sure which one you're looking at, once you've got these positioned, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and layer these groups as to which one is which. This says I'm in group 1 right now, and we know this is the middle photo. So it would help for me to label this as middle. And when I open this up and hide this one, you can see that this is the top. Now, you could put these in order, but in this case, move them so that the top is at the top. But in this case, I wanted this interlocking look. So I want to label them with where they are, the position they're actually in, not trying to rearrange the groups because that gets kind of crazy. And then we know that this one then is the bottom. So let's come up to this image here, which looks like it's the top, but it's actually, right, which one was this? This was actually the middle layer here. I'm going to activate the Move tool, and again, as I said, Auto Select Layer is deselected, and now I can move this down any way I want to. Excuse me, it's my computer's jumping around a little bit, but you see what it is I'm trying to do. And then we decided this was the middle layer here, so we're going to come up to this frame and let's pull this down. I want this down. I should have done, we'll do the other one. I want this down so we can see her walking on the log. You can see this black here underneath. If I let go, you can see that. That's the black because the picture ended, so there was no more photo there. So we definitely don't want to do that. Let it go here. And then we know then that this one here, back with the move tool, I have to do the check mark to select that. And then we decided that this was the bottom photo. Correct. So I'm going to pull this one down. Jumpy, giving me a little jumpies there. Say, okay. And maybe just to give this a little bit more interest, we come back to the middle photo and pull this one. Middle photo, Vicky. Pull this one out just a little bit. Don't you think that's a pretty cool effect? If you didn't, I mean, I like this because it's got the symmetry here, but of course you can play with this to your heart's desire. I think the best part about this, not only is it a cool effect, but I'm able to keep out all the non-essential pieces of this photo. This house in the background and the rest of this fence were not essential to telling the story of my photo. So keep this in mind. This really cool trick when you have photos that you want to draw attention to or just to do something different. As you can see here from this picture, which was in Santorini in Greece, the rest of this was kind of unassuming. What was cool was the bougainvillea and the sun going down. So I was able to bring the focus right to those pieces of the photo without all that extra. And then here's another one. It's actually one photo of a bunch of roses. It's a gorgeous photo, but just as one photo, it wasn't very interesting. By creating these frames, I'm able to draw attention to and make the subject matter of my layout much more interesting and impactful. Fun technique, huh? I thought you'd like it. I'll leave a link to the Garden Within Mega Kit so you can take a look at my shop if you'd like to do that. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss my other scrapbooking tutorials. Thanks for watching.